First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Pablo Vera. I'm working as the representative of the Aquatic Environments Conservation Service for in a private enterprise for the municipality of Valencia. And I'm going to present the experience we have had along the last 15 years in Albufera de Valencia, that is an emblematic wetland in Spain. So for those people who don't know where is Albufera de Valencia, it's located in the east of Spain, in the Gulf of Valencia. It's a Natura 2000 site, both for the values of the habitats and faunistic species and floristic species, but also it's a Natura 2000 site designated by the relevance of the bird populations, the waterfowl and aquatic bird populations. It's a site that includes both terrestrial areas and a marine area of more or less 2/3 of all the Natura 2000 site is terrestrial, and 1/3 approximately is marine. This is very important because this represents the connectivity between the terrestrial freshwater systems and the coastal marine ecosystems that are also very valuable and need to be improved. From the regional perspective, it's a natural park, and also from the worldwide perspective, it's a Ramsar site. It's one of the most relevant wetlands in Spain, probably the third most relevant wetland in Spain after Doñana marshes and the Ebro Delta. Also, the relevance or the importance for the European biodiversity conservation, this is a wetland that is facing a lot of pressures and threats. The most relevant probably is the scarcity and quality of water incomes that have reduced very dramatically since the last 40 years, more or less. Also the farm and intensification, as you can see in the aerial photograph in the left side. The Albufera de Valencia is a big wetland which consists in a lagoon of more or less 300,000 hectares, and surrounded by a landscape of very intensified agrosystem, basically rice fields. As you see in the photograph, there is no separation between the coastal lagoon and rice fields, and this is also a very huge problem, as there is a lack of natural habitats. There are very few marshland habitats. In the last, I can say 10 years, but it's more really in a more important way. In the last 5 years, there is a disruption of the rice farming phenology and biodiversity, with periods of where the rice fields are completely dry between February and that is the most critical period for the wetland biodiversity. But in this period, the lagoon is full of water, but all the rice fields are dry. So this is very critical also for biodiversity. And all of these problems have led to the degradation of bird conservation status, as we have seen in some assessment we have made in the last years. So there was a big need to improve habitat availability in Albufera de Valencia, and also with pilot projects dedicated to the improvement of water quality. As you can see in the photo in the left, there is big density of urban areas surrounding Albufera, mainly in the north, with the city of Valencia. That is 10 minutes in the north from the wetland. And so that is one of the causes of the reduction of the water quality that is comes to the wetland. So there were at the end of the first decade of the millennium, there were several projects dedicated to big projects dedicated to restore marshland habitats in strategic locations. There is three green filters or constructed wetlands. That's the way we call them: Tancat de la Pipa, Tancat de Emilia, and Tancat de Lilla. These projects were made by the national agencies or dedicated to improve water quality, basically, with the perspective also to recover habitats, as I said before. These areas from the very first beginning had an explosion of biodiversity related to coastal wetland habitats. As you see carofits in the left side of the slide. These prairies emerged from the very first beginning, and also all the biodiversity that depend on that habitat. Here it's important also to say again that during the period of the year that rice fields are dry, now these habitats also host permanent shallow waters. So we are creating we created new areas to wetland biodiversity, mainly birds, to stay in the critical moment that they start their reproduction. Also, in these areas, in these constructed wetlands, since the beginning, there were created participative boards. That is a kind of land stewardship initiatives with the participation of several NGOs, the local administration, regional administration, but also the universities and research centers. All of them participating in the management of the areas, from the research to the management, and these participative boards decided how to manage the wetlands according to the information provided by the research. Afterwards, there were the network created by these projects also was enriched by two initiatives. There were small patches of rice field that were purchased at the beginning of the 2000, but not restored since a few years ago. This is small properties embedded in bigger management units. You can see the name, Tancat de Burriel, Tancat de la Raya. Tancats are the management units for rice fields. All the rice fields in an area that share a common management of water, they are called Tancats. So in the constructed wetlands, they purchased all the Tancat, all the management unit, but in these areas there are small properties, not all. So this brings several problems, as I will explain now. But the most important thing is that the restoration projects focused on ecological functions. You see that is a prairie of bulrush and reed, and with very shallow water, with open areas. These projects were conceived to restore the macroinvertebrate community, and then and also some habitats like this that were disappeared from the Albufera. And this helped a lot in terms of management, but they also fulfilled the objectives of restoring biodiversity that was lost during the last century. This also have the relevance of having low maintenance costs and serve as demonstrative experience that with very soft rewilding projects, not constructions like the constructed wetlands, are very useful to recover biodiversity and in terms of species and also habitats. During the implementation of Life Albufera project, that it was in 2013 until 15, there was settled the basis for integrative management of these constructed wetlands through a very exhaustive research. The research considered hydraulics, phyto and zooplankton dynamics, several indicator species of biodiversity, mainly conservation targets of good conservation status of the habitat of coastal lagoons. We defined which species were the best indicators of the whole habitat and try to propose management actions for them according to all the research. Also, vegetation and aerophyletic and submerged habitats covered, that there was a restoration and also research on how that restoration was going and what were the success and the fails on the project. So all of these projects was very important to set how to manage these systems. Nowadays, more or less, but these instructions or these considerations are followed by the responsibles of the constructed wetlands. There are also other outcomes that are not only biodiversity and nature, habitats and so on. There's the increase of conservation of conserved habitats, but also the improvement of economical value. For example, the economic ecosystem service approach. There is an increase, I think, is tenfold of the investment of this project. It was recovered by the promotion of economical value and ecosystem service approach. There are thousands of visitors, and awareness raising, more or less between 5,000 and 10,000 people going to the constructed wetlands, mainly Tancat de la Pipa, that is the one who is considered at the moment the best to do this awareness raising and public use of the wetland. And also the involvement of society management. There are several governance models, like the land stewardship initiative, these participative boards, but also the involvement of fishermen in research activities of related to fish, but also volunteering and so on. For closing, there are several challenges that are upcoming after all we have learned and the experience we have here in Albufera, Valencia, with lots of people working on that and several institutions and so on. At this moment, there are no more public land available, and the private land is very expensive. So we are facing problems to find new areas for restoring and rewilding. So generation programs that are now with lots of fundings dedicated to restoration and other initiatives focused on nature conservation need to be developed so quickly. So the regional government is facing several problems because they have to invest now, but first of all they need to find the people, to negotiate with the people how much is the land purchase, and then to define this purchase. This process is too long for the implementation of next generation programs, so we are losing lots of opportunities to continue restoring habitat. Also, we have optimized, we have to optimize this soft restoration, rewilding projects to be applied in big areas, because as we've seen, big areas, these constructed wetlands are very, very useful to improve conservation status of species, but we have to do that as we have done with the small patches of rice fields. And also to design management plans to achieve specific targets in a complementary way. We have a network of several restored areas, but we have to manage these areas complementarily. We cannot try to recover the most important species in all of them. We have to focus the management options on a complementary way. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pablo.
My email.